The Crimson Arena had never seen a human before, at least not one who walked in alive. Kaiden Cross stood in the center of the blood-stained sand, his plain clothes and bare hands marking him as either insane or ignorant. Around him, the stadium rose in towering tiers carved from black volcanic rock, filled with thousands of spectators, Valkyr warriors, Draken nobles, and elite hunters from a dozen species who'd gathered for the grand tournament. They'd come to watch champions fight. They'd come to see glory. Instead, they got a human. "This is a joke," snarled Vexar, a Valkyr champion standing nearly 8 feet tall, his crimson skin gleaming with combat oils. 4 arms rippled with muscle as he hefted twin war hammers. "The organizers send us meat, an insult." Beside him, Thyra the Relentless cracked her knuckles, her scaled hide shimmering emerald in the arena lights. "At least make it quick. I have real fights to prepare for." 3 other elite hunters completed the circle around Kaiden, Dracus with his serpentine tail, more than wielding twin blades, and Zephin, whose wings cast shadows across the sand. Each one a tournament veteran, each one a proven killer. And in the royal box high above, Princess Alara gripped the stone railing until her knuckles turned white. She'd tried to stop this, begged her father not to allow it. But King Valorian had decreed it. If humans wanted to join the interspecies alliance, they had to prove their worth in combat. 1 human fighter against 5 elite champions. If Kaiden lost, humanity would be deemed too weak for protection. The human settlements on the frontier would be abandoned to the monsters in the Deadlands. Everything rested on his shoulders. "Begin!" The announcer's voice boomed across the arena. Vexar moved first, closing the distance with terrifying speed for something his size. His hammer swung in a brutal arc aimed at Kaiden's skull. The human ducked, barely feeling the wind of the blow pass overhead. But Thyra was already there, her clawed foot catching him in the ribs with a sickening crack. Kaiden flew backward, hitting the sand hard. Pain exploded through his chest. 3 ribs, maybe 4, shattered on impact. The crowd roared with bloodlust. He tried to stand, but Dracus's tail whipped around his ankle, yanking him off balance. Morthen's blade pommel crashed into his shoulder, and Kaiden heard the collarbone snap like dry wood. "Stay down, human," Morthen hissed. "Die with dignity at least." But Kaiden pushed himself up on his good arm, blood trickling from his mouth. His eyes found the royal box, found Alara watching with tears streaming down her face. Behind her stood the human delegation, 30 families representing the last free human settlements. Children, elderly, people who'd placed all their hope in him. He couldn't stay down. Vexar's second hammer caught him across the back, vertebrae cracked. Kaiden's legs went numb for a moment, and he collapsed face first into the sand. "Pathetic," Vexar spat. "This is what humans offer, weakness." The arena fell quiet, waiting for the inevitable. No one could survive those injuries. The smart thing would be to yield, to beg for mercy. Instead, Kaiden laughed. It started as a wet chuckle, blood bubbling on his lips. Then it grew stronger, echoing across the silent stadium. With movements that looked impossible for someone so broken, he pushed himself to his knees. "What's he doing?" someone in the crowd whispered. Kaiden reached into his pocket slowly, so the guards wouldn't think he was drawing a weapon, and pulled out a roll of medical tape. The crowd watched in stunned disbelief as he began wrapping his shattered arm, forcing the broken bones back into rough alignment. His face contorted with agony, but he never stopped smiling. "You're insane," Thyra said, genuine confusion in her voice. You can't even stand properly. Surrender. Kaiden finished taping his arm and used it to push himself upright. His legs shook and his breathing came in ragged gasps, but he stood. Can't, he said through bloody teeth. Too many people counting on me. He took a step forward. His broken ribs grated with the movement, but he took another step, and another. Vexar's confidence wavered. What kind of creature keeps fighting with these injuries? The desperate kind, Kaiden replied. The kind with nothing left to lose and everything to protect. Zephin launched herself from behind, talons extended. They raked across Kaiden's back, shredding skin and muscle. More bones cracked his scapula, 2 more ribs. He went down again, face meeting sand. 17 bones broken now. Any normal fighter would be dead or unconscious. But as Kaiden lay there, something changed. The pain that had been overwhelming, debilitating, suddenly felt. Different, not gone, but transformed. It flowed through him like liquid fire, pooling in his muscles, gathering in his core. The crowd noticed it first. A faint glow beginning to emanate from Kaiden's body, starting as barely visible wisps of light, then growing brighter. What is this? Dracus hissed, stepping back. What's happening? Princess Alara leaned forward, her eyes wide. She'd read the old texts, the classified human medical files her father had locked away. There were legends about certain humans, rare cases, 1 in a million, who possessed a genetic anomaly. The medical term was adaptive trauma response, but the old warriors had a simpler name for it, the Phoenix gene. Kaiden rose again, but this time something was different. The glow intensified, wrapping around his broken body like armor. When he moved, his shattered bones didn't scream in protest. They moved with unnatural strength, held together by something beyond normal physiology. That's impossible, more than breathed. He should be dying. I am dying, Kaiden said, his voice stronger now, resonating with power. I've been dying since the first blow, but here's the thing about humans. We're really, really good at refusing to accept when we're beaten. He moved, and the speed shocked everyone. His taped arm shot out, catching Morthen's blade between broken fingers that shouldn't have been able to grip anything. The metal shattered. We adapt, Kaiden continued, wrenching the broken blade from Morthen's grip and tossing it aside. Every injury, every trauma, our bodies learn, compensate, evolve. Thyra charged, her claws aimed for his throat. Kaiden didn't dodge. He caught her wrist with his broken arm, and the impact that should have destroyed what remained of the bones instead held firm. The glow around his arm pulsed brighter. And some of us, he said, his smile turning fierce, adapt faster than others. He twisted, using Thyra's momentum against her, and threw the massive warrior into Dracus. They went down in a tangle of scales and curses. Vexar roared and brought both hammers down in an overhead smash that would have pulverized stone. Kaiden raised his arms to block arms that were shattered, held together only by tape and will and something else, something the Phoenix gene provided. The hammers struck. The impact created a shockwave that rippled across the sand, and Kaiden stood firm, the glow around him blazing like a star. The hammers had cracked, spider-webbed with fractures from striking what should have been broken flesh and bone. Impossible, Vexar whispered. You don't understand humans, Kaiden said, his body burning with converted pain, every broken bone a source of strength now. You see our fragility and assume weakness. You see our short lives and think we have nothing to offer. He pushed forward, driving Vexar back step by step. But we've survived ice ages, plagues, predators bigger and stronger than us. You want to know our secret?" He swept Vexar's legs out from under him, sending the massive warrior crashing down. "We're too stupid to know when to quit." Zephin dove from above, her full weight behind a killing strike. Kaiden didn't move. He let her talons pierce his shoulders, adding 2 more broken bones to the count. The pain hit like lightning, and the glow around him exploded in intensity. He grabbed her legs before she could pull away and slammed her into the ground with force that shouldn't have been possible from someone so damaged. The impact left a crater in the sand. The crowd had gone from bloodthirsty cheering to stunned silence. They were watching something they'd never seen before, a human who got stronger as he broke, who converted suffering into power. Morthan and Dracus attacked together, coordinating their strikes. Morthan's backup blade sliced across Kaiden's thigh, severing muscle. Dracus's tail wrapped around his throat, choking off air. Together, they drove him down to his knees. "It's over," Morthan hissed. "Whatever trick this is, it ends now." But Kaiden's eyes found the royal box again. Found Alara, who was standing now, hands pressed against her heart. Found the human families behind her, children clinging to their parents, hope and fear warring on their faces. "Not yet," Kaiden whispered. Then louder, "Not yet." The glow erupted. Pure radiant energy burst from every wound, every fracture, every broken piece of him. Morthan and Dracus were thrown backward by the force of it. Kaiden stood, and the light around him had taken shape, a corona of power that made him look like a dying star given human form. "This is what you wanted to see, isn't it?" His voice echoed with barely contained fury and pain and determination. "Proof that humans are worth protecting, proof that we're strong." He moved through the arena like vengeance incarnate. Every step left glowing footprints in the sand. His broken body, held together by will and the Phoenix gene's terrible gift, moved with deadly precision. Thyra tried to rise. Kaiden's foot caught her in the chest, sending her skidding across the arena. Dracus lashed out with his tail. Kaiden caught it, swung the massive warrior in a circle, and released him into the arena wall with enough force to crack stone. Zephin took flight, putting distance between them. "What are you?" she screamed. "I'm a human," Kaiden replied, his voice carrying to every corner of the silent stadium. "And I'm fighting for my people, that's all you need to know." Vexar pushed himself up, all 4 arms shaking. "This power, it's unnatural, forbidden." "No," came Princess Alara's voice, amplified by the arena's acoustics as she stood in the royal box. "It's documented, the Phoenix gene, a rare human trait that converts trauma into strength. Our medical archives have 17 confirmed cases throughout history." She looked at her father. "The Alliance has known about it for years and kept it classified." King Valorian's expression was unreadable. "Because we feared it, feared what humans might become if pushed too far. And you pushed me," Kaiden said, looking up at the king. "You put everything I'm trying to protect at risk, made me fight your champions to prove humans deserve to live in safety." The glow around him pulsed with his heartbeat. "So here's your proof. Here's what happens when you corner someone with nothing left to lose." Morthan, bloodied and beaten, raised a hand. "I yield." One by one, the other champions followed. Thyra, Dracus, Zephin. Finally, Vexar lowered his shattered hammers. "We yield," the massive warrior said. "This human, he has earned our respect." The arena erupted, not with bloodlust this time, but with something else, awe perhaps, fear, respect. The crowd had come to see a human fail, and instead they'd witnessed something legendary. Kaiden stood in the center of the arena, 17 broken bones and counting, held upright by the Phoenix gene's terrible gift. The glow began to fade as the immediate danger passed, and with it the supernatural strength that had sustained him. He collapsed. Medical teams rushed onto the sand as the crowd roared its approval. Princess Alara was already running, having left the royal box the moment the fight ended. She reached him as the healers arrived, cradling his broken body. "You fool," she whispered, tears streaming. "You magnificent, stubborn fool, you could have died." "Had to protect them," Kaiden managed, his voice weak now that the Phoenix gene's power had receded. "The families, the settlements couldn't let them down." "You didn't," she assured him. "You saved them all." King Valorian approached, standing over the broken human who defeated 5 elite champions. "The human settlements will receive full alliance protection," he announced to the crowd. "And Kaiden Cross will be honored as a champion of the realm." But Kaiden barely heard it. The pain was returning now, real and terrible, without the Phoenix gene's transformation. Medical scanners showed the damage: 17 broken bones, internal bleeding, severe muscle trauma, injuries that would have killed anyone else. "How long until he can fight again?" one of the healers asked. "Fight!" Another healer looked horrified. "He'll be lucky to walk in 6 months. These injuries will heal," Kaiden interrupted through gritted teeth. "They always do. That's the thing about the Phoenix gene. We break, we adapt, we heal." He managed a weak smile. "And if pushed, we'll break all over again. Remember that." The crowd heard it. The champions heard it. King Valorian heard it. A warning wrapped in a promise. Humans could be pushed, could be broken, could be driven to the edge of death, but they would always, always get back up. In the days that followed, the story spread across the Alliance. The human who refused to stay down. The fighter who turned pain into power. The man who stood broken and bloodied against 5 champions and won not through superior strength, but through the simple, stubborn refusal to accept defeat. The human settlements received their protection. The Phoenix gene became known throughout Alliance space, no longer a classified secret, but a reminder of what desperation and determination could achieve. And Kaiden Cross, once he'd healed enough to travel, returned to the frontier. Returned to the people he'd fought for, who welcomed him not as a champion, but as one of their own who'd stood up when it mattered most. Because in the end, that's what humans did best. They broke, they bled, they suffered, and then they got back up and kept fighting anyway.